In the late 1990s, amidst a volatile Middle East, one city rose as an oasis of stability and ambition: Dubai, a place where barren deserts gave way to skyscrapers of glass and steel, where global capital flowed, seeking a sanctuary of safety and opulence. And from that ambition, an icon was born. Not just a hotel, but a declaration to the world: the Burj Al Arab. For more than 2 decades, its legend of perfection and invincibility seemed unbreakable, until the night of February 28, 2026. When the first images of smoke and fire rising from this icon spread, the world didn't just see a fire. They saw a crack in a perfectly constructed illusion. So how could a seemingly minor incident at a single hotel spark such a profound crisis of confidence? This isn't the story of a fire. This is an analysis of the collapse of a promise, the promise of absolute security. In this video, we will dissect the 5 fateful steps that revealed the hidden truth behind the world's most iconic symbol. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on, because what you are about to hear will change the way you think about safety and luxury. When the Burj Al Arab opened in December 1999, it stood 321 meters over the Arabian Gulf, perched on its own artificial island. Its design mimicked the sail of a traditional dhow, a fusion of cultural heritage and futuristic ambition. But the royal brief given to its designers was even greater: create something that would instantly make anyone in the world think of Dubai. And they succeeded beyond all measure. For over 2 decades, you could show that silhouette to anyone, anywhere, and they would immediately say one word: Dubai. This was no longer architecture. This was brand building on a global scale. So what happens when an icon of perfection suddenly catches fire? The answer isn't just a plume of smoke, but a chain of 5 cascading disasters waiting to unfold, starting with reason number 5. On February 28, 2026, videos began to circulate showing smoke and fire on the facade of the Burj Al Arab. The world didn't just see an isolated incident. They saw a symbol under threat. Now, let's break down the facts. The physical damage was limited. Debris from an intercepted drone caused a small fire on the exterior. Emergency crews extinguished it quickly. There were no casualties at the hotel. On paper, it was a minor controlled incident. But this is where the facts stop matching. The hotel's real value was never in its gold leaf interiors, but in selling a bubble of safety and exclusivity. The promise that while you are here, you are completely insulated from the chaos of the outside world. And on that night, that promise was cracked. Absolute safety was pierced. So, when that core promise was broken, what was the immediate economic fallout? The answer came almost immediately. In the weeks following the incident, Dubai's booming tourism industry faced a catastrophic collapse. Hotel occupancy rates, which had been at a peak of 80 to 86% before the incident, plummeted to around 20% or lower. Reports indicated that tens of thousands of bookings across Dubai were canceled. Major tour operators like TUI even suspended travel packages to the city. The timing could not have been worse. It happened right before March, one of Dubai's peak tourism months, when the city generates a huge portion of its annual revenue. And in that moment, everything stopped. A longtime hotel employee, speaking on the condition of anonymity, shared that it was like the world went silent. The suites were empty. The Rolls-Royce shuttle fleet sat waiting for passengers who weren't coming. Restaurants that once required bookings months in advance were now deserted. The buildings still stood, but the entire ecosystem of luxury around it had fractured. The revenue drop was one thing, but it exposed a much deeper and more dangerous problem for Dubai's business model. What was it? That deeper problem lies in the psychology of its most crucial customers, the ultra-wealthy and international investors. These are people who think in terms of risk and return, and they have countless alternatives: Europe, Southeast Asia, or other emerging luxury havens. In their world, even a small crack in the perception of safety can redirect billions of dollars almost instantly. This isn't panic. It's a cold, calculated recalibration. It happens quietly in board meetings about whether to host the next conference in Dubai. It happens in family conversations about spring travel plans. Once the question, is this place as safe as we thought, is asked, the entire calculation changes. One canceled trip becomes thousands. One delayed investment becomes a stream of capital flowing elsewhere. And so, the money began to quietly leave. But this leads to a critical question. Why did one small incident at one hotel have such a devastating impact? Why didn't it just become local news and fade away? The answer lies in the location itself. This wasn't just any luxury hotel. This was the Burj Al Arab, the ultimate symbol of Dubai, a structure that had served for decades as the visual shorthand for the city's entire identity. So when something happened there, it instantly became a global issue. The images went viral on social media within minutes. Videos were shared, reposted, and analyzed. The world's biggest news outlets all ran the story, and the negative narratives began to form. And this is the crucial part. Those stories don't disappear. They become a permanent part of the destination's digital record. They live in Google search results. They influence travel and investment decisions in a subtle but incredibly powerful way for years to come. That is how modern perception works. It forms instantly, but fades very, very slowly. We've seen the safety bubble burst, the economy crash, capital shift, and an uncontrollable negative narrative spread. So, what was the final consequence? The number one reason that truly terrified the super rich and made them question their entire faith in Dubai. The most terrifying consequence, the number one reason, had nothing to do with buildings or money. It had to do with an idea. For years, the real product Dubai sold wasn't luxury, but invincibility. The promise that you could step into this city and exist in a completely controlled environment, sealed off from the instability and chaos of the world. The fire wasn't just a fire, it was a message. It proved that even here, in this fortress of wealth, the outside world could still touch you. For an ordinary tourist, that might be an acceptable risk. But for the ultra-wealthy, who pay a premium not just for luxury, but for absolute certainty, that disruption was a breach of the psychological contract. The illusion of a place with zero risk had been exposed. That was the real fear, the realization that even the world's safest bubble could be broken. So we've walked through the 5 stages of a crisis, from the piercing of the safety bubble to the economic collapse, the rerouting of capital, the amplifying power of a symbol, and finally, the shattering of the illusion of invincibility. Does this mean the Burj Al Arab is finished? No, the building itself remains an architectural marvel. Dubai, as a city, has proven its resilience time and again. But recovery isn't just about reopening doors. It's about rebuilding trust. And that takes much longer than repairing a facade. Because what needs fixing here isn't physical, but psychological. It's about restoring faith in the story that was sold so successfully for decades. Which leads to the real question for the future. Not whether the Burj Al Arab will survive, it will. But whether the legend it represents can ever be fully restored. Because once the meaning of a symbol changes, it rarely goes back to exactly what it was. It evolves into something new. Now I want to hear from you. If you were planning a trip to Dubai, would this event change how you view it? Or do you think this is just a momentary blip that will pass? Leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep analyses like this, subscribe because we're just getting started.